Hi, everyone. Welcome to ID Radio, your go-to podcast for the latest research and essential papers on infectious diseases.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are jumping into a really interesting systematic review. It's all about ultraviolet light, or UVL, and its role in disinfecting healthcare environments. The big question is, can this tech really help us fight one of the toughest problems in medicine, hospital-associated infections?
HAIs, they are just a massive burden. Financially, clinically, it's a global issue. And what's so frustrating is that even with really strict cleaning protocols, the hospital environment itself remains a huge reservoir for these pathogens.
So how bad is the failure rate for, standard cleaning?
It's significant. The data consistently shows that after a traditional manual clean, anywhere from 5 to a really staggering 30% of high-touch surfaces are still contaminated.
Wait, up to 30%?
30%.
That is shocking. I mean, considering how critical that is for patient safety, so why is manual cleaning missing so much?
It really boils down to two things.
Yeah.
Human factors and biology. Human error is a big one. Housekeepers might accidentally use the wrong contact time for a disinfectant or maybe overdilute a solution. But the bigger problem is just how persistent these bugs are. We're talking about multidrug-resistant organisms, MDROs, that can survive for days. They hide inside these protective, dry-surface biofilms, and standard chemicals just can't always break through.
Right, so this is where the UVL comes in. It's not just another chemical. It's a no-touch technology. It's designed to hit those spots that people might miss. The remote corners, the underside of a bed rail, that kind of thing. So our sources are looking at UVL as a supplement then, an extra layer on top of traditional cleaning.
Exactly. It's an adjunct. And we're looking at a review of 25 recent studies that really dig into this. And when we say UVL, we're mostly talking about two main technologies for disinfecting a whole room.
Okay, so give us the breakdown. What are the two types?
The first one is probably the one you've heard of most, UDC. This uses low-pressure mercury lamps. They emit a continuous stream of light at that peak germicidal wavelength.
And
The second is pulsed xenon UV, or PXUV. This is a bit different. It uses xenon lamps to fire these really high-intensity pulses of light. It's super fast and covers a broader spectrum.
So you have continuous versus pulsed. Is one, dramatically better or faster than the other?
Well, that's what's so interesting. The research seems to suggest that both the pulsed xenon and the continuous mercury systems are, well, they're pretty equally effective.
Really?
Yeah, especially at relatively short exposure times. We're talking around 10 minutes for a lot of these settings. Speed isn't necessarily the deciding factor.
So if it's not about raw power or speed, what does determine if it's going to work in a real hospital room?
It comes down to really practical things. The sources point to the room layout itself. Where can the light actually reach?
Sure, that makes sense.
But also things like humidity in the room, the age of the UV lamp bulbs, even how the air is circulating. It's a system that depends heavily on the physical environment.
Okay, let's get into the results then. Let's start with the pulsed xenon, the PXUV. The papers seem to focus a lot on its use against Clostridioides difficile C. diff, which we know is incredibly hard to kill.
Right. CDI is kind of the poster child for PXUV research, and some of the successes reported are just that they're dramatic.
Like what?
Well, in one study in adult ICUs, they found that just by using PXUV more frequently after a patient was discharged,
Okay.
they saw a 70% reduction in CDI rates.
70. That's a huge win, especially in a high-risk area like an ICU.
A massive win. And it's not just a one-off finding.
So these aren't just short-term fixes.
Not at all. There was a community hospital that brought in PXUV, and they saw a 53% reduction in their hospital-acquired CDI. And that was sustained over several years.
That consistency is so important.
It is. And they also tracked a decline in CDI-related deaths and in colectomies, so you can see the impact goes way beyond just cleaning a surface. It affects real clinical outcomes.
I think the most compelling thing I saw was how UVL can be that final tipping point. There was one facility, right, that had already done everything else, better hand hygiene, enhanced cleaning.
I remember that one.
And they only saw a modest drop, about 17%. But then they added PXUV on top of all that.
And the reduction jumped to almost 57% from their original baseline.
Exactly. It really proves its role as that essential final step.
And its usefulness definitely goes beyond just CDI. We saw similar results for other really tough MDROs. For example, against vancomycin-resistant enterococci, or VRE.
Right.
One facility reported a 56% drop in VRE cases. That contributed to a nearly 30% overall reduction in all MDRO infections across the whole facility.
Wow. And it even worked against some of the superbugs like Acinetobacter.
Yes, specifically the 2 drug-resistant Acinetobacter baumannii, 2-DRA. In an ICU, they saw a 63% reduction in the incidence rate after they brought in PXUV. So it shows it can work against some of the most difficult gram-negative pathogens we have.
And it wasn't just about specific bugs. There was a broader benefit, too.
Yes, one study in a long-term care facility was really interesting. They found that using PXUV was linked to significant drops in overall nursing home-acquired infections. So things like UTIs, respiratory infections, skin infections, all went down.
Which suggests if you can just lower the general microbial load in the environment, you create a safer space for everyone, not just those with a specific infection.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's pivot now to the other technology, UVC, the continuous light system. What does the research show for its impact?
UVC makes a really strong case too, especially when you start looking at air quality.
Air quality.
Interesting. Yeah. In one ICU, they used a UVC air disinfection device. It led to a 42% reduction in microbiological contamination in the air.
And did that translate to fewer infections?
It did, dramatically. The overall ICU infection rate fell from over 20% down to under 9% per month.
A drop like that must make the financial case pretty compelling.
Oh, absolutely. There was another massive hospital-wide study. Over 13,000 inpatients were involved. Using UVC led to a 19.2% overall reduction in HAIs. And the researchers estimated that this saved the hospital about $1.2 million.
That's the kind of number that gets an administrator's attention.
It certainly is.
And I saw something about UVC working together with chemical cleaners, like a 1-2 punch.
Yes. The synergy is remarkable. One study looked at UVC combined with bleach for cleaning. They found this combination led to a 64% reduction in VRE incidence. That was significantly better than just bleach alone. The light really seems to finish the job the chemical starts.
And again, we saw strong results against CDI, but this time in really high-risk patient groups.
Correct. For example, in hematology-oncology units where you have immunocompromised patients. Deploying UVC after the terminal clean there cut CDI rates by 25%. It's all about targeting those very high-risk scenarios.
Okay, so we have two technologies, PXUV and UVC. Both are showing these huge potential reductions, 50, 60, 70% in some cases. So the big question is, if it's this great, why isn't it everywhere? Why do the sources also show such mixed results?
That is the critical question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And looking at the studies where it didn't work so well actually helps us understand the real-world limits. The review points to 3 main factors that explain all this variability.
Okay, what's the first one?
The baseline infection rate of the hospital itself. If a hospital already has a fantastic infection control program and very low HAI rates to begin with.
And there's less room for improvement.
Exactly. Adding UVL isn't going to produce that dramatic 70% drop you see in an outbreak setting. The technology works best when there's a high burden of MDROs to fight in the first place.
That makes a lot of sense. You can't cut something in half if it's already tiny. What's the second factor?
The type of unit and the complexity of the patients. The results are often mixed in places like the ICU. So while the amount of bacteria on surfaces might go down, some studies that tracked device-associated infections didn't find much of a change.
And for the listener, can you just clarify what those device-associated infections are?
Of course. We're talking about things like central line-associated bloodstream infections, clavicis, or catheter-associated urinary tract infection, see out you dies. These infections are often caused by the patient's own skin bacteria or a break-in sterile technique during a procedure, not just from touching a contaminated surface.
So if the environment isn't the main driver of the infection, UVL has its limits.
Right. And we saw the same thing with surgical site infections. It helped in clean surgeries, but it didn't show a benefit in higher-risk procedures where other factors are more important.
And then there's the third factor, which is always the trickiest one in research, figuring out what actually caused the success.
Confounding measures.
Yeah.
That's it. Most of the really successful studies were part of a huge bundle of interventions. They brought in UVL, but they also did new staff training, pushed for better hand hygiene, implemented stricter protocols.
Which is the right thing to do clinically.
Absolutely, it's best practice. But for a researcher, it makes it incredibly difficult to isolate how much of the success was because of the UV machine versus everything else that changed.
Finally, let's talk about the purely physical limitation, the one that affects any kind of light-based system, the shadow problem.
This is fundamental. UV light travels in a straight line. So anything that blocks it, the bed, a monitor, even a small piece of equipment, creates a shadow.
And the bugs can hide in the shadows.
Exactly. Pathogens are very good at surviving on those shadowed surfaces or in tiny cracks and crevices. So the overall effectiveness of the disinfection is always going to be limited by that.
So let's step back and put it all together. What's the final synthesis here?
I think the core conclusion is really clear. Both UVL technologies, PXUV and UVC, are powerful tools. But, and this is a big but, they are not standalone solutions.
A supplement, not a replacement.
Precisely. They are most effective when they're part of a bigger, comprehensive infection prevention strategy. You have to deploy them strategically, thinking about the specific unit, the patient risks, and the particular MDROs you're fighting. It's a precise instrument, not a magic wand.
Which means we need more research on how to use that instrument correctly. We need those large-scale randomized trials and some really solid cost-effectiveness studies to create clear, evidence-based guidelines. We need to know exactly how long, how often, and in which rooms we should be running these machines to get the maximum benefit.
So here's a thought to leave you with. We know that UV light is severely limited by shadows. And we also know that manual cleaning regularly misses 5 to 30% of surfaces. So the question is, how should a hospital prioritize using its UVL machines to specifically target the surfaces most likely to be missed by a human housekeeper? And looking forward, how might the technology itself evolve to get around those physical shadowing limits?
Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to ID Radio.